Hello guys, and welcome to a new Company Heroes 3 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one, I am honoured to be able to share with you a full-length multiplayer game. A massive thank you to Relic and Sega for allowing me to share this with you guys. It is a fantastic opportunity and I massively appreciate it. Now this is an early access build, so what you are about to see may be subject to change, but it is going to give us a great opportunity to dive into the multiplayer gameplay in this 1v1. But yeah, they are still working on things like the gameplay mechanics, graphics, pathing, balancing, that kind of thing, so just bear that in mind. So this was a 1 versus 1 that I played against AECO. AECO is a Company Heroes 2 content creator. Some of you guys may be familiar with him already, but he focuses on competitive content. He plays in tournaments himself and also runs tournaments. So he definitely knows his way around Company Heroes, I'll give him that much. And I was thrown into a game with him by some of the guys who work on Company Heroes 3. And they thought it would be amusing to watch us go against each other, and that's what you're going to see today. We were both invited to an event a few weeks ago now. That was really fun. It was awesome. And we got hands-on with the game. I was pretty much sat opposite AECO, and yeah, we ended up doing this sort of like LAN 1v1. So that's kind of the premise here. I was still kind of trying to learn the game at this point. You know, I have had my hands on with Company Heroes 3 throughout the project. I joined the Company Heroes 3 project years ago when it was just starting, more or less, in order to kind of give my feedback on certain things about the game. So that's been a fantastic opportunity. I was really like sort of lucky and honoured to be invited so early on to help out with the project, because Company Heroes 3 is a strategy game that I think everybody wants to succeed. So I was really happy to get involved. Anyway, with that said, kind of went off on a tangent there. This is a 1 vs 1, which I've already said, and I'm going to be playing with DAC. So I'm playing with the German Africa Corps, and they are very much sort of like an early powerhouse. Then I'm going to be playing up against AECO, who's using the British, which have access to a number of different doctrines. I'm not entirely sure their doctrines, but they do get obviously some of the Indian units. That's really cool. So with the Africa Corps, you might have seen me at the start select a doctrine. I did choose the Italian infantry doctrine for this game, which gives me access to the Guastatori and the L6s, and you get some big artillery pieces later on. There's also the Italian combined arms doctrine, which gives you access to Stugs and some unique upgrades. And then there's also the armoured support, which gives you access to like airstrikes, but also like repair and like Hetzer flamethrowers and Panzer IV upgrades, all this juicy stuff. But yeah, you can see already here, AECO's bullying me with his micro, using his armoured car to push me out of green cover so that he can get some extra damage onto my infantry. Things already heating up in this game as I'm trying to take 2 of my Panzergrens up against his rifles. The sound effects of the guns are fantastic, but yeah, one of my men getting very low there, gonna have to retreat him. Thankfully, my motorcycle in a really nice position to provide MG fire onto his infantry that aren't making use of heavy cover, so just going to be getting my motorcycle out of there and use it to flank his MG in the meanwhile, and my Panzergren's going to continue to engage his rifles, try and get them low. So he's going to realise that, he's going to try and turn it around to keep shooting at me, and I'm going to have to go back and move around that ASAP, but it seems like he hasn't quite placed it in the right direction, so I'm going to be able to just shoot that pretty much point blank. I definitely want to get away from it. My BMW got an absolute drift around the map. That motorcycle is just fantastic fun. But yeah, chasing down the infantry here, try and kill them off.
Like a nice Sunday drive, enemy encroaching on us. Clear out.
Wipe one of his rifle squads early on. That would be absolutely fantastic. Just gonna be careful of his MG gun pits. My poor motorcycle does not want to be there. And one nice thing about the Africa Corps infantry is they can pretty much all fix up vehicles. So Panzergrens can repair, like their engineers can repair, you know, pretty much every squad can repair vehicles. So I'm going to be able to get my motorcycle topped off pretty easily. But it's also a capture vehicle, so I can use it to just capture in the back line whilst it's a little bit low on health. But yeah, certainly jumping around all over the place, going through almost every crate on the map with that thing. It was great fun to be able to move that around. So early on, I actually got a pretty good advantage, I would say, in this map. I think I captured roughly more sectors than him. I got the cap on the middle command sector, so we are currently ticking down the conquest points or whatever. So that was a good start. It's just a matter of kind of holding on to that. But I'm going to try and go deep and contest his fuel so that he can't get armor out sooner than I can. So yeah, my experience going into this game, I'm not a huge co-player at the moment. I mean, I didn't really play Company Heroes 3 multiplayer or Company Heroes 2 multiplayer that much. I do have a couple of videos on the channel from when I did play it, but I must have maybe a total of 40 games maybe on Company Heroes 2 multiplayer. I've generally always played Company Heroes more for the single player experience. Especially when I was younger, I played a lot of the original Company Heroes and fell in love with that campaign. And I think that's really where a lot of people who play Company Heroes nowadays kind of started. There are those that probably joined in the Company Heroes 2 era and got more involved in the multiplayer stuff, especially with all of the commanders and stuff. But now they've kind of gone back to this doctrinal setup, and I much prefer it. Anyway, getting a nice flank on here onto his rifles. Got lots of angles. His MG trying to pin down my Panzergrens, but not doing a very good job because my Panzergrens are in heavy cover. And I'm going to be able to flank him in the meantime. He's going to be forced to fall back. You might also notice that I've got two L6s on the field now. I purposefully made sure to get the experience to be able to call them in very, very early on. So I've got double L6 light tank with a bunch of Panzergrens. I've got my engineers running about. But one thing you might notice is that my inexperience definitely starts to show, where even though I do capture sectors quite well, I'm not really placing mines or building sandbags and that kind of thing, because it's just not something that I'm familiar to having to do. But these rifles, trying to get away from my L6s. L6s are fantastic against infantry, hoping to wipe his rifle squad here. I just managed to get him. That's a huge wipe. Really, really good for me, that is. Now he's going to be coming at me with a Stuart to counter my L6s. I'm going to have to try and find something that can kill that. So I'm building my next base building that I probably should have built already. And we're going to try and solve that issue. But overall, map position, very, very good, having wiped that rifle squad. And yeah, continuing an early game lead. Up against a Co, of all people, which is not a position that I expected to be in. So you'll see me continue to hover over tooltips and try and scramble my way through the tech of the Africa Corps to find some power, because yeah, I really need to work out how to kill the Stuart on the bottom side. But what you might notice in the meantime is some of the graphics. I thought this map was really, really nice. The graphics aren't overly saturated. You can see the track left behind, the track prints left behind by these tanks. The dust particles coming out of their tracks as well as they drive around. Everything about this game is so pretty at the moment. Now here I'm just trying to get a grenade onto his MG, but he's going to notice that I'm getting a lot of damage onto that, so he's going to have to fall back. Meanwhile, his rifle is getting into a good position above me, and I'm going to have to fall back. But basically, what I planned to do was try and get the Haftaladden on target there, I upgraded that previously so that my Panzergrenz could use those anti-tank mines to get some damage onto that Stuart. Now, at the end of the day, it probably would have been better if I'd got myself an AT gun or something, but I still hadn't really worked out how to unlock those. And yeah, just decided to build the next tech building to try and find something there instead. But I believe the way that you do get the AT guns and stuff is by like upgrading, by clicking on the building and then the little button slightly to the left, there's like a tech button that unlocks extra units that you can recruit from said building. Yeah, here's a good example of my normal Panzergrenz being able to repair my tanks for me, which is really, really useful. Something that like I've often struggled with in like Company Heroes 2, like having to use specific units for specific tasks in multiplayer. But having like a more like generalized early game faction like DAC is really, really cool. So just getting these fixed up, sending them back to the front line, looking for something that I can get in order to kill his Stuart. And yeah, all the while just trying to continue to get more veterancy on my Panzergrenz against his rifles. I've had a really good couple of like wipes early on. You might have seen that armored car there. We managed to take that out. I took out one of his rifle squads, and that's why we're able to control so much territory. But now there's an AT gun that I'm going to deal with, so we're going to be trying to get the flank on there. It's definitely quite far forwards. My L6 has good line of sight to be able to shoot at it without being shot back. And it seems like he's definitely left that in a bad spot. And he's also got some engineers here that are out of position. Going to be able to get the L6 to absolutely chew those. Unfortunately, the flames do get on target for a little bit, so they are going to do some damage to my infantry, which makes me reluctant to steal the enemy AT gun. I've got to get rid of those rifles there. Meanwhile, unfortunately, getting caught out. One of my Panzergrenz dead. I bought this armoured car thinking that it had a big main gun on it due to the picture, but turns out I was debated and it's just a standard 232 with a 20mm. So I'm now trying to use my Panzergrenz to get AT gun or AT on target, and my 222 meanwhile just going to come through there and absolutely destroy his rifle squad. So now I'm just going to try and get behind him. But Stuart really getting a lot of veterancy in. Now it's time to pick up that AT. Unfortunately, I get hit by a mortar just before he crews it, so I'm going to have to retreat that squad immediately afterwards. And this AT gun now going to be in a real bad spot as the machine gun tries to take it out. But moving up the armoured car immediately to deal with that, going to force him to fall back. And you could just see how wild this game was, and exactly why I wanted to show this to you guys. It was really, really fun. Like, I didn't expect to put up as much of a fight as I did up against AECO. But we really started to get a bit of a crowd behind us as we continued our engagements here. Now, I believe his engine was damaged on that Stuart, so he's having a little bit hard time trying to move it around. He does have a mortar now, which is a big problem for me. He went for the Indian, I think it was a 107mm mortar, and if you pay attention throughout the game, it absolutely slaps me about. And that AT gun loss is the first example of that. Another Panzergrenz loss there, completely unnecessary, just losing touch of my units. It's a bit unfortunate. Now we're going to be opting to go for the Marder. So Marder can definitely deal with the Stuart, and I definitely should have built that first, but opted for the like command vehicle that you saw, the 232. Or what's called an 8-rad armoured car in Company Heroes 3. And looking at some upgrades here, the combat half-track upgrade. Just seeing if there's anything I can pick up. But I didn't really have time. Eco was like keeping up the pressure throughout this. But I am still ticking him down. I've taken him down to 320, 319 tickets now. And we're just over 15 minutes into this game. Marder now deployed. He's going to give me something to be able to challenge his Stuart. All the while, my engineers getting on the flank of his MG, but not really doing too much damage because they don't have submachine guns. So I'm really used to Company Heroes 2, where like pretty much every engineer squad has submachine guns, so at close range they do tons of damage. So I really just like ran close to him there, but decided in the end to get some assault grens with my special call-ins. So on the left there you can see like Control F7, Control F8, Control F9, Control F10. I'm going to assume that you're going to be able to change a lot of these keybinds. I didn't check while I was there. Maybe it wasn't available in the build or whatever, but I'm going to assume that you can change keybinds on release. Yeah, these keybinds, they can bring in like assault groups, and it seems like with DAC, that's kind of what you want to save for. It's just they're very like manpower heavy, so you definitely kind of get unbalanced on resources, and you see I'm basically using no munitions, which is my bad. Anyway, half track here, I'm going to be able to get it up past the AT. A little bit of a missed micro here. Thankfully, my SMG squad, it gets a lot of damage in, and now it's going to be going on for a run. So I managed to get that AT gun unmanned once again. And my half track is just going to go hide for the time being because I don't want to have it killed by the Stuart. And all the while, he's going to want to try and stop my assault gren squad from killing his mortar, because that's what I'm trying to do right now. And there we go. So I managed to take out that artillery piece. Big kill. Now coming back for the rifles, because these are fantastic at close range. All the while, Marder is starting to slap his Stuart about. And that's 2 shots. Going to be looking for the last shot here. With the Marder, going to be chasing it down. Remember, I had some people like cheering me on, trying to hope that I could get this to it before it gets out of line of sight. So just running my assault grens towards it. Gonna face its ass. A little bit of miss micro here from the eco. Gonna allow me to get 1 shot on towards it, but not quite. Pulls back onto the high ground, and bam! There goes the Stuart. Beautiful kill from the Marder. What an engagement! Huge, huge swing for me that was. Because I killed his AT crew, I killed his mortar crew, I forced back his rifles, and then killed his Stuart. Like, it was massive. And he is going to be able to reman that AT gun once again. Unfortunately, I didn't really have time to go and destroy that. He's going to try and retreat it, but I am going to take the kill onto the MG at least. And I'm going to try and get around the back of the AT gun to try and take that out, but he's going to take the 232 with him. That Matilda, an absolute beast. You see there, it wrecking me. Unfortunately, didn't have enough men really there to capture his mortar. That would have been great, and he's going to end up remanning that. So whilst I did manage to, in a lot of cases, kill his crews, I never remanned his stuff, which I should have. Like in that example right there, that assault gren, I should have gone and grabbed that AT gun, because that is definitely going to bite me later down the line. Like, taking those resources away from him is something that I definitely should have been doing. Anyway, here you can see I'm finally getting to the big infantry artillery upgrades. So I'm going to be able to bring in a towed artillery piece. I believe it's like a 105 that's towed behind a truck. That's one really cool thing about Company Heroes 3 now, is you can like tow the big units. Managing to catch out Co here, a little bit here with that cheeky grenade. And still managing to hold on to a lot of territory. I've even captured the 3rd conquest flag now. I'm not sure if they're called conquest flags in Company Heroes. But anyway, we're going to call it that. And I'm ticking down his tickets quite quickly now. He's down to 220 with no reply. So I decided that putting my artillery piece over here would be a good idea. I wasn't quite sure what sort of range it had, but since it was a big artillery piece, I was kind of hoping it would hit most of the map. So that was the plan. Meanwhile, Marders going to be setting up position. I have now 2 of them. And a lot of my infantry getting very elite. Here, I'm going to get my first side shot onto the Matilda. The Matilda is going to do a ton of damage to the Marders, because the Marders don't really have much in the way of armor. But if I can get enough on target, I'll get a Panzergren hit in there as well. Like, that's fantastic. And the Matilda goes down. So big win. Now I'm also going to be able to go for his AT gun, but his AT gun does find a hit onto my Marder, and that's going to go out of control and crash. Now his Royal Engineers, they do have Stens, so my engineer is going to have to be a little bit careful there in that close range engagement. Again, me getting confused that my infantry doesn't have close range capability whilst his does. So here we have it, the 105-28 howitzer, big boy artillery, going to come in some nice support as these enemy infantry squads try and capture my flags. So you can see that the artillery did actually have quite a big range there. I could fire all the way from my conquest flag to his conquest flag in order to try and stop his infantry from recapping there, but my assault gren's now getting pinned by the MG that he's picked back up. You see that he's picked back up the AT gun as well, and I'm just going to have to leave that there as my assault grens do get entirely pinned. So yeah, unfortunate. Keep giving him back these support weapons when I really should be taking them for myself. And one thing I did want to mention is you saw in the engagement against the Matilda, the 2 Marders firing at that, one having like side hits onto the Marder. I believe in Company Heroes 2 you had like basically front armor and rear armor. You either were shooting it in the front or you were shooting it in the back. But now in like Company Heroes 3 you have like the dynamic of like front, side and rear armor. And so getting flanks onto enemy vehicles is actually much more impactful now than it was in Company Heroes 2. Like, I know in Company Heroes 2 there was like some funky business where you could like drive backwards towards enemies, and sometimes that was beneficial with certain skills and so on. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case in Company Heroes 3. It's going to be much more like realistic in the sense that you're going to want to just like flank for the side armor, and if you're showing rear armor you're going to get punished really hard. So that is definitely something to think about now. But speaking of cool new game mechanics, another one that's actually really nice for multiplayer that I haven't mentioned yet is the auto resupply. How many times have you played like Company Heroes 1 or Company Heroes 2 and you've like retreated your squad and then you kind of forgot that you retreated your squad, and then you click back to your base 5 minutes later just to see one man standing there, and then you have to wait the time it takes to reinforce to get them back to the front line. Like, it's so frustrating. Now you have the auto resupply option, which means that when your men are standing back at base, they will automatically get reinforced, which is really nice because by the time you remember to go get them, they are already at full strength and you can just click them back on the map. So that's really cool. Really helpful. Now there are obviously going to be cases where you want to turn that off, particularly if you're saving manpower for certain units or call-ins and so on. But yeah, a fantastic quality of life change. Now my half-track here getting a little bit stuck on the stairs. I do feel like they should maybe restrict the movement somewhat of vehicles, especially around those stairs. Like, it is really fun to see the motorcycle launch itself up the stairs for sure. But like when you see like tanks and half tracks just like navigating those stairs, it is a bit immersion breaking. I'm not sure if they should necessarily be able to. Like the big stairs maybe, smaller stairs maybe not, that kind of thing. Anyway, you saw my Marder get absolutely annihilated by the double AT gun very quickly indeed. The machine gun's now mowing down my men in the center. My assault grens, they're trying to get on top of these AT guns. In the meanwhile, I decide to stop chasing them towards his base and instead go for the mortar that's been causing me problems again. And I'm right on top of that, that's not getting away. But again, I'm not really going to have the manpower to pick that up and take it away. And if I do pick it up at this point, I'm probably going to lose it to the Matilda. So not really much of a point. I just get a bunch of grenades on top of the machine gun and then do a runner. And I'm going to try and finish that off with the artillery. So yeah, I'm starting to struggle with dealing with a new armoured piece that has arrived, especially now that I have lost a Marder. I've only got one Marder left, and without the flanking opportunity that I had before, it's going to be very difficult to kill that Matilda this time round, and I'm pretty sure a Co is not going to allow me to do that twice over. A nice grenade there does chunk my Panzergran squad, so that's going to have to fall back. My poor half-track still has the shivers at this point. Yeah, just getting that assault gren reloaded. You can see they are now 3 vet. Really, really nice. And I'm going to be waiting for my next upgrades. I've got quite a lot of nice upgrades now on the right hand side there. But yeah, here you can see I'm trying to get my tech going. I'm up to almost 500 fuel. Don't think I really realised while I was playing how much fuel I had at this point. But yeah, a real lack of investment in armour and base building is why that fuel is so high. And why my munitions is so high is because I'm not really going into upgrades much, as every time I could have upgraded I was probably in enemy territory. Well, Bren here, I'm going to be doing a lot of damage on my assault grens. I'm going to try and get the assault grenade down, chase him out of position if I can, go straight into the MG. Managed to find a nice MG on top at least, the double L6 coming in to help me out once again. Really great for dealing with infantry, not so much a Crusader tank that is now rushing after me. But the L6 taking the scenic route down the stairs once again to escape. And up the other stairs towards the big mansion on the back side of the map. So yeah, this MG should have been mine by now. The amount of times I've decrewed that MG and then he's picked it back up again. Unbelievable. And every time he was getting loads of veterancy on it as well, because it was getting tons of damage on my infantry, because I was trying to keep my infantry engaged as long as I could so that I could then flank it with other units, but that was in turn giving it XP because it was doing damage. So yeah, this was not a great position for me to be in, but you know, he's down to 185 points, so I was kind of still hopeful somewhat. Trying at this point now to use my registered artillery, but then figure out that you can actually only use it in friendly territory, so that wasn't very helpful. More of a defensive off-map ability. Trying to find my Panzergrens pinned down once again. Oh, you might see me like squiggling the like mouse around occasionally. That's because I had like people standing around me like watching me play, and so I was kind of talking to them about what I was doing or what I was planning throughout, and like some of the abilities and things like that. So if it seems a bit random what I'm doing with the mouse sometimes, that's why. Anyway, Marder here trying to get the better of the M3 Lee that has now joined the array of tanks that AECO has built up. He's now had a Matilda, he's had a Crusader, and now he has an M3 Lee. So, yeah. Meanwhile, I'm still stuck on one Marder 3, and I'm thinking, you know what, finally, I should probably build that last tech building so that I can get myself a bigger tank. The trouble is, at this point, is I've lost a lot of manpower to the armor disparity. So I bought in both of those L6s, for example, and one of them died like pretty much immediately, so that's like a big waste of like 300 manpower. A bunch of my infantry squads have been taken out in the meantime because they got like too deep and then got pushed back by the armor and the machine guns and stuff and the mortars. The assault Grens kept running forwards, taking damage, having to fall them back, you know, replenish them with manpower and so on. So yeah, there was definitely issues. You can see this Panzergren finally getting an upgrade, but I'm almost up to 1,000 munitions. Definitely should have been finding something to spend that on, but again, the mortar causing me problems, and then the M3 and the Crusader opening up there doing tons of damage. So yeah, having to do a runner now once again, just trying to decap that first and then fall back. But now he's got the 2 conquest flags, I've only got 1, so I'm now down to 400 points. And he's starting to crawl back into this game. We're now 31 minutes in, and I'm really looking for something that can fight back. Unfortunately, a Panzer III not going to quite do it, so I'm going to have to click the tech button and wait just a little bit longer to be able to bring something decent in. So now he's placing mines on those objectives, as you can see. I haven't really equipped myself to deal with that. His engineers, they have the like mine detectors, whereas I don't think I even had a squad of engineers at this point, so you can see how the game just kind of fell away from me here, as AECO's experience on the game and familiarity with tech and so on definitely outshone my micro, I guess, ability. At the end of the day, you should probably know how to play the faction before you do. So yeah, I've unlocked the ability to bring in a Tiger. It's just, it's going to cost me a hell of a lot to actually bring it onto the field. And now he's starting to push me to kill off my assault Gren. He's committing really, really hard for that. My Marder and she gets 2 really good hits onto the Crusader. Now, yeah. A shot from the Lee, a shot from his AT gun, a shot from the Crusader just annihilate my Marder very quickly. He now snuck an infantry squad round and stole my artillery as well, so very cheeky of him. My truck here is going to have to do a runner. It comes under fire from the Bren. I'm just going to drop a grenade to kill the squad on the gun again. But yeah, he's now captured 3 out of 3 of the conquest points, and I'm now bleeding very, very hard. I've only got a half track and an L6 to my name, plus a few infantry squads. I'm trying to wait on manpower so that I can bring in a Tiger or something. I was just completely unawares of what I could bring at this point. Now, I can spend fuel and so on like the Panzer III and like the Werflammens, but they're definitely more of like a mid-game tool. And then you save manpower in order to bring in like your big boy Tiger. Like that's kind of like your late game play. But because I never set up for it, I didn't really have like the mid game that I was supposed to. And so all of my tools just never really like worked out, you know. It's just, it is what it is at this point. So I only really had like one option, and that was to potentially bring in the Stugs, because I did have the option to bring in 2 Stugs or wait a little bit longer, bring in a Panzer IV with an infantry squad. In the end, I thought, you know what, Stug should be able to deal with a Crusader, with an M3 Lee. should be able to. So I'm starting to branch out again with my infantry, try and capture back some ground, prepare myself for the next engagement with him, try and hold on as long as I can just to find this win as we move almost on to 35 minutes in this game. I was really enjoying myself at this point. It was a lot of fun to play AECO, and I think in future I'm definitely going to be delving into Company Heroes 3 multiplayer more than I have in any of the other Company Heroes games so far. Like, I didn't delve into Company Heroes 1 multiplayer much just because I was a bit young at the time and like I didn't really fancy playing it. I didn't really play like Company Heroes 2 multiplayer much because like Company Heroes 2 just didn't really capture me the same way Company Heroes 1 did, like in the single player sense. So like I never really transitioned over to multiplayer because of that. But I feel like Company Heroes 3 has the potential to not only have a fantastic single player with the dynamic strategic campaign, and also like the more linear campaign of the Africa side of things, but also it's going to have what seems to be a very fun multiplayer. So hopefully like the transition will work for other people as well, but for me, like, I was very chuffed with what I'd seen in the multiplayer and how much fun I had had. Now, I have equipped both my Stugs there with MGs. Like, I still have an abundance of munitions, so might as well get those MGs manned on those Stug 3s. Artillery coming down there, trying to help us out. But here come the M3 Lees. I'm going to be bouncing off the front of him very badly. Whilst I take tons of damage, he is going to kill my poor truck. My assault gren's coming over to try and fix up my Stugs, but he's captured my artillery again and he's blasting my squad to pieces. So yeah, you can see that things are looking pretty bad for me right now. Now he's got an AT gun coming up. Gonna get some more damage onto my Stug. I'm not quite able to get that AT gun. I mean, I killed the squad, but I would like to grab that for myself. I'm not going to have time to do so, especially with those M3 Lees firing at us. And most of my squads are dead or, yeah, nowhere to be seen. So I bring in my Guastatori, finally, just to fix up my Stugs, basically, get them back online. Unfortunately, the territory I'm trying to cap back there does get cut off, so that kind of becomes a pointless task. And I'm just cornered in my base now. Just like I had him cornered in his base initially, but wasn't able to really follow through. So we're setting up for one last big battle. Gonna get an AT grenade on his tank, then do a runner. We're getting these boys fixed up. We'll take one more engagement with his tanks. Again, massively fun game this. Just got really caught out by the tech of DAC. During the co-development stuff and during the development of the game, I definitely focused way more on the single player stuff than on the multiplayer stuff, because I'm not really a veteran of the Company Heroes multiplayer scene or the Company Heroes 2 multiplayer scene, so I kind of left a lot of the multiplayer suggestions and balance to those guys. But when it came to the single player experience, I wanted to make sure that they got that right, because it's something that I've been very passionate about in the past, particularly when, like I said, when it comes to Company Heroes 1. It's one of the best RTS campaigns I've ever played. So this game is now coming to a close, and I just wanted to say that I will definitely be making more videos like this when I can. I will be focusing on multiplayer content for Company Heroes 3. I will be playing through the Company Heroes campaigns on the channel when I can as well. So yeah, this has been a great opportunity for me to show you this multiplayer game, and I really hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Yeah, AECO here just eventually getting the better of me with his experience. My Stug 3s really couldn't carry me out of the position that I was in. And you'll see as I try and make a move on this bottom side, it's going to take a ton of side shots. And, well, I just wanted to try and get rid of that MG. That's all I wanted to do. Stop them from pinning down my Guestatori squad. But they're going to have to just stand there and take it as the M3 Lee comes up, gets a nasty hit on target, another one. Oh, the Stug's just not doing what they were supposed to. And he's just going to run it into my base. Stug goes down. Second Stug trying to hold on, get shots onto the Crusader. But yeah, that's more or less it. So again, that's where I'm going to be leaving it for today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this multiplayer preview for Company Heroes 3. Make sure to go check out AECO. He will have probably his point of view of this battle on his channel, so definitely make sure to go check that out. I'll make sure to leave it in the description or in the comments when he releases that, if he releases that. I'm not entirely sure if he will, but yeah, this is my point of view from this game, and all I can say is I had a lot of fun. I was very impressed by the graphics and the feel of the game in general. Like, the gameplay was really good, like the flanking gameplay style that Company Heroes is known for, with the like cover business going on and so on. Like it all felt very nice and smooth, and making AECO sweat a bit was the cherry on top. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.